Welcome back to From the Pages of WWF Magazine, the November 1989 issue. The issue was requested by Yellow Blam. And right away, Yellow Blam, you picked a strong one because this issue doesn't ease you in. It starts building immediately, piece by piece, like the WWF is laying out its entire world in front of you and expecting you to keep up. You open it, and the structure hits first. This isn't random. This is layered. The departments come in early, and they matter. Around the Ring sets the tone right out of the gate. This is the magazine talking directly to you, grounding you in what's happening across the WWF landscape. It's not over-explained. It's not slowed down. It's quick, confident, and it assumes you're already paying attention. Yeah, it's a reminder that things are always moving even outside the main features. Then the editor's comments come in, and this is where the magazine really establishes its authority. This is not neutral coverage. This is WWF speaking for WWF. The tone is controlled, a little sharp in places, especially when it leans into calling out behavior, like the comments directed toward Bobby Heenan and the Brainbuster situation. The magazine doesn't pretend to be above it. It takes sides. It reinforces who's right and who's wrong in their world, and that matters because it shapes how everything else is presented, and the fan forum follows, and this is where the energy shifts from controlled to raw. You've got fans writing in from all over: Denver, Michigan, Mississippi, Pennsylvania, even Saskatchewan, and they're all speaking like this is real. They're debating aerial ability, arguing over who the best high flyer is, throwing support behind the Rockers, Superfly Jimmy Snuka, even Rick Martel. And then it turns into reactions toward Queen Sherry, and the tone gets even sharper. Words like sleazy witch are printed right there. That's the relationship between the fans and the characters. It's not passive, it's emotional, it's loud. Then Jesse the Body Ventura steps in with body language, and everything tightens again. His voice cuts through the issue in a completely different way. He's not there to agree with anyone. He's there to tell you exactly what he thinks. He takes shots at Roddy Piper, talks about Hollywood, builds himself up, tears others down, and then shifts into commentary on Dusty Rhodes and the Big Boss Man. He frames Boss Man as someone enforcing order and Rhodes as someone disrupting it. It's twisted logic, but that's the point. Ventura isn't neutral. He's pushing his perspective hard, and it adds another layer to how the reader sees these characters. Newsbreakers keeps things moving, giving you updates and developments that make the world feel active beyond just the main stories. Then the personality profile locks in on Koko B, Ware, and this is where the magazine slows down just enough to spotlight a single performer. Koko is presented as explosive, agile, and fearless, blending aerial attacks with toughness. His dropkick is emphasized, his energy is emphasized, even his personality comes through in the way he speaks, and they don't just leave it at that. They position him against like the genius, setting up a clear direction and giving you something to watch for. And then we hit the first major feature, and this is where the issue really plants its flag. The WWF interview with the Honky Tonk Man is not subtle. It's loud, arrogant, and completely in character from start to finish. He talks about his guitar like it's a weapon, not just a prop. He gives full credit to Jimmy Hart, builds himself up as the greatest of all time, and completely dismisses anyone who questions it. He calls out the Red Rooster, talks about Honkywood, Memphis, his pink Cadillac, and makes it clear he sees himself as a star above everyone else. Even when he's challenged, he doesn't back down. He doubles down. The tone of the interview isn't about getting answers. It's about letting him talk, letting that personality take over the page. From there, the issue shifts hard into the SummerSlam results, and this is one of the most detailed, action-heavy parts of the entire magazine. Hogan and Beefcake versus Savage and Zeus is presented like a war. Zeus is described as nearly unstoppable, dominating physically, throwing his weight around like nobody can touch him. Hogan struggles, Beefcake struggles, and the only thing keeping them in it is momentum and timing. Sherry's involvement is constant. The loaded purse becomes a deciding factor, and everything builds toward that finish where Hogan finally gets control, slams Zeus, drops the leg, and gets the 3 count. But Even in victory, the question is still hanging. Can Hogan beat Zeus clean, one-on-one? The magazine doesn't close that door, it keeps it open. The Ultimate Warrior versus Rick Rude for the Intercontinental title follows, and this one is framed around intensity and interruption. Warrior is relentless, overpowering, pushing forward. Rude is trying to survive, trying to find openings. And then Roddy Piper shows up and everything shifts. Rude loses focus, turns away from the match, and that moment costs him everything. Warrior capitalizes, hits the moves, gets the pin, and takes the title back. But again, it doesn't end clean. Now Rude has Piper in his sights. The conflict expands instead of ending. Other matches build out the rest of the card. Hercules versus Greg Valentine with Ronnie Garvin interfering, turning the result into chaos and extending that rivalry. Dugan teaming with Demolition against Andre in the Twin Towers, where the size and power dynamic is overwhelming until Dugan's 2x4 changes everything. Every match leads into something else. Nothing just ends. Then the feature on the Ultimate Warrior facing Andre the Giant takes that tension and magnifies it. Warrior is power, speed, energy, but Andre is something else entirely. A different level. The question isn't just about ability, it's about scale. Can Warrior handle something that massive, something that experienced? The magazine leans into that doubt just enough to make it feel real. The Big Boss Man feature keeps that authority-driven tone going. He's not presented as just another wrestler. He's enforcement, discipline, control. Everything about him is built around that identity, and it separates him from the rest of the roster immediately. Sweet Revenge brings Piper and Rude back into focus, and now it's personal. This isn't about titles. This is about payback. So Piper wants Rude, Rude wants Piper, and the tension between them feels like it's only getting worse. And then the return of Rugged Ronnie Garvin gives you that comeback angle, reinforcing that his presence matters and that his involvement is already affecting outcomes, like what happened at SummerSlam. Private Eye shifts things again with Bret Hart heading to Alaska. It's a different tone, more observational, more outside the ring, but it still keeps you connected to the performers in a different way. WWF Lowdown pulls back the curtain just enough to give you behind-the-scenes flavor without breaking the illusion. Wrestler's Rebuttal keeps rivalries alive in words, with the Bushwhackers going after the powers of pain, showing that conflicts don't stop when the bell rings. Then the interactive sections come in, trivia test, crossword, caught in the act, and these are part of the experience. Testing knowledge, showing unusual moments, keeping you engaged beyond just reading. And all throughout this, the ads are constant. A WWF merchandise pushing shirts, posters, and collectibles tied directly to the biggest names. Coliseum video ads pushing you to own SummerSlam, to relive it, to build your collection, subscription pages, making sure you don't miss the next issue, mail order forms, sitting there waiting to be filled out and sent in. Everything connects and nothing is wasted. This issue doesn't just tell you what happened. It keeps everything moving forward. And Yellow Blam, this is why this one stands out. It's not built around one moment. It's built around momentum across the entire roster. And if you're going through these the right way, page by page, letting the world build around you the way it was meant to, take a second, hit like, subscribe, and stay with the series, because this is where the full picture starts to come together. This issue keeps everything in motion. See you next time. Farewell from the Empire State.